Good morning, 8th grade. This is Miss Roberge here to help you out with your genetics mutations project. The document is actually called the Dog Draw for Science. It's in the assignments on the science team. So let's talk about this. To begin with, I just want to be very clear to everybody that you must listen to my words, but do not copy what I do. That will not get you the correct answer. So for starters, you have all been emailed a codon from Miss Christie. That codon is going to have 4 sets of 3 letters, and those letters are going to help you determine if your dog has certain colored eyes, certain kinds of ears, certain kinds of teeth, and a certain kind of snout. Based on your code, you're going to draw the dog. Now, just do your best, okay? It's okay. No one's expecting a perfect dog. The important part is that these things here need to be noted. So, you are going to have to look at your code and match it up. So, if the first part of your code is AAT, then the dog you draw is going to have brown eyes. And like Miss Christie said, if you are lacking colored pencils or anything, draw an eye and then just label it as being brown. And then, of course, if the first part of your code is ATT, it would have blue eyes. And then going forward, if the second part of your code has GCT, you have 2 floppy ears on your dog. If it has GAC, you have 2 ears that stick straight up with extra acute hearing that allows them to sense predators. That is key here to the questions. For teeth, if you have TGG in your code, your dog has sharp teeth. If you have TCC, your dog has no teeth, unable to eat or break down food. Now, I'm sure we can all imagine that would be a problem for any animal. And then finally, if the last part of your code has GGC, your dog would have a long snout. And if it has GCC, it would have a smashed snout like a pug. Not all pugs, though, because my dog is part pug, and he does not have a smashed snout. So there's some interesting doggy genetics going on there. So your first step is to draw the dog. Draw the dog, and then give them the features that they need based on your code. So just go through it carefully. What color eye does your dog have? Which code do you have here? Do one at a time, add the features, and then you're going to have to take a picture and you're going to have to send that to Miss Christie with your assignment, okay? Once you have that done, these are the questions you have to answer. So let's try to answer them together right now. Based on your observations of the table, what differences could you predict between the models? So we just went over this. These are the things that are going to be different because these are the things we have codes for. We have codes for eye color, ears, teeth, and the snout. You have to write in complete sentences. I do not. Ha, that's the perk of being the teacher. Ha ha ha. So let's add this here. You are going to write the differences are, and then go on. I am not going to do that. I'm going to write eye color, ears, teeth, and snout. That looks like shout. You guys are used to my messy writing by now. Remember, you need to put that in a complete sentence. Number 2, based on the activity, state a claim as to whether mutations can be detrimental, which means bad, beneficial, which means good, neutral, no effect, or all of the above. What evidence from the activity supports this claim? I am not going to write a claim for you. However, I am going to point some things out. I believe we want to go with this as our answer for our claim. Mutations can be detrimental or they can be good. Why? Well, let's look at the table. This mutation right here, this extra acute hearing, which I underlined in blue, that allows them to sense predators, that would be a positive mutation because it can help keep them alive. Having acute hearing, they're going to be able to know if someone's coming after them and maybe save their own lives. That would be a good mutation. However, look at teeth. We have this right here. This doggy has no teeth. That is bad. It can't eat or break down food. How is it ever going to survive? That is an example of a mutation that is negative. And then finally, if we want to look at a neutral mutation, brown eyes and blue eyes, that doesn't really have an effect on the life of the dog. If it has brown eyes or blue eyes, it's not going to impact the way it interacts with the world. So I would say that is neutral. And then finally, the snout. You don't have to write about this. I just want to point out that actually the smashed in snout on a pug is kind of a bad mutation. Pugs tend to have issues with breathing. If they have to be put under anesthesia for surgery in the animal hospital, they have respiratory problems and are more likely to die. So it's not stated here. However, that wouldn't be a mutation that you necessarily wanted your animal to have, although it may be very cute. I showed you the evidence. Evidence is on other page. You need to write it. Use the examples. Put it in your own words, okay? I showed you the evidence. We talked about it. Finally, number 3. The dog mutation activity was used as a model to simplify how mutations occur. List one way in which the model simplified the biological processes that occur in real cells. In other words, what really happens when making proteins. So, in protein synthesis, we are dealing with translation and transcription. Translation, we start with transcription. It takes place in the nucleus. DNA is used as the template or the model to make the molecules of RNA. Then the RNA molecules leave the nucleus, and that's where translation occurs. And in translation, the genetic code in the mRNA is read and used to make a protein. You might want to go back and rewatch this video. It's on Miss Christie's team page. But this model does help to show the translation from the code to the species, because it's given us the code, and usually it has to go through all these processes within the cell to show what it's going to look like to humans on the outside world. But we saw that in the table. I know that's a little confusing. If you get stuck on that part and you need a better explanation, it might be helpful to check in with Miss Christie and just ask her for a little feedback on it, or go back and rewatch one of the videos. Try to understand it yourself. That's always the best way to do things. So I just want to remind you one more time, you need to do this. In incomplete sentences. Okay? That is essential. And honestly, just letting you guys know, when you don't follow my directions in the video, I know you're not really listening to what I'm saying, which isn't cool because it's really just detrimental to your own learning. And that is such an adult, nerdy thing to say. But trust me, someday you're going to agree with me. Haha, I can't wait in like 20 years and you call me up and you're like, Miss R, you were right. All right, that's it for this. Good luck. There's no other new science work this week. If you're missing anything, please catch up on it. See y'all later.